I wanted to do this last week, but I had a very bad sore throat and my voice wouldn't come out. Hi, Basma.
Hi.
So I thought I'll do it today, because if I don't do it today, it's not going to be done. Time is going by so quickly, and perhaps this evening is not a good time because it's the Eid holidays over here, which means a lot of people are away on holiday. But thank you for joining, whoever is joining. And this should be on YouTube, but it's not. So I don't know why, Basma, but I'm recording it, so I'll put it on YouTube later. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm almost back to normal. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? I'll start with you.
Oh God, are we? Are there more people with us, or
I don't know. I can't see.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter because I'm recording it and I'll publish it later.
Right.
But if you have anything, we can start with that. Otherwise, I can talk a little bit to put everyone in the mood.
Yeah. I guess maybe I'll just mention one thing.
Sure.
Clearly, since obviously the last time we met, which was a long time ago before the COVID, so it's been a while. Obviously, a lot of changes has happened and a lot of awakening, I would say.
Okay.
And a lot of awakening, a lot of revolution.
I'm happy to hear.
Yeah. And then it's like, kind of like old stuff is crumbling, new stuff are coming. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's less happy, but it's a must, and it's you learn to welcome more and more slowly. And
Okay.
It's
Hi, Sally.
Very exciting. Voila.
Well, I'm very happy.
Hi.
I'm very happy to hear it. And you're settled in Italy now, which is fantastic.
Yes. And
Okay.
I hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, inshallah, we're hoping. So, well, in my mind, I'm working towards that. Hey, Sally, do you want to show up or not?
Hi. Yeah,
You
I'm
can
going to
say
show
hi.
up. I'm going to show up. Let's see. I'm trying to. There we go. Okay. Sorry.
Hey,
Hi. It's nice
so
to
good
see
to
you.
see you. Oh my God, it's been so long. Sally, you look
great.
exactly the same.
Oh
Exactly
gosh,
the
thank
same.
you. I know, so do you. I can't believe it. Yeah, no, I know. It's so nice to see you.
You
I'm glad
too. Did you get my email? I did try and reply, and I texted you on WhatsApp.
So it took me a long time because
Okay.
the I never check WhatsApp and I forgot. So
Okay.
I didn't get I got the WhatsApp, but then I was traveling, so I'm in Hawaii.
Sure.
So
okay, I just wanted to make sure.
but I was gonna go on and answer you today.
Okay,
Actually,
no problem.
And then I saw your email. I was like, oh,
Anytime.
gosh.
It's just, I realized like here in Dubai, we live on WhatsApp, everybody communicates but I noticed in America you don't actually use it like I thought you would. This is where technology is kind of leading from, but
Yeah.
no, it's like here we're attached to the to mobile phones.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
great. So do you guys have any questions?
Questions
About anything. Basma, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I mean,
Okay.
I really, I'm in a transition place. Like, my kids are getting older and they're in a transition place. And so I'm just sort of I'm trying to sort of be quiet, and still I came to Hawaii for a week to do that.
Lovely.
And I'm just open to I want to be open to expanding more in my life, and also sort of recentering into who I am.
Excellent.
And so the question really is how to find that.
Well, it's a lifelong journey, but the trends are always there, and you are quite aware. And actually, it begins with a feeling. For me, feelings are very different from emotions. So emotions, if you like, and I know that you're a doctor, are hormonal. So Feelings are more from the heart, which has more neurocells than the brain does. And it's just that feeling. But sometimes we don't find the right words for that feeling. So we don't know what we're feeling. So we go through the motions. But if you look back, it's always what you felt, what was difficult to achieve or to do. It's as if the universe is telling you, okay, don't go that way. When I reflect back on my journey since we met in the 90s in England, the first thing that the mother of my teacher, Marin, her mom was a seer. And that was the first time that I had my tea leaves read. And I just could not believe it. There was hardly anything in the cup, like 3 leaves. And the first thing she said, "You're a writer." And I said, "No, no, no, I'm not. I'm an engineer. I'm in marketing." She said, "No, no, no, you're creative. You're going to write." And I said, "No, no, no, that's not me." And she said, "Please sit and write for 10 minutes each day. Don't plan anything." Hi, Sam.
Hi, how are you?
Just sit and write. Very good. I'm glad you joined. So I did exactly that. I sat and I write every day for 10 minutes. And today is great to talk about writing, because writing for me brings you into alignment. Because when you write, especially longhand, not shorthand, and I can type very fast, but when I journal, I go longhand. I have so many journaling books and stuff. It's like you are having a conversation with yourself. So you're not planning what to write, but your brain is doing a lot of things at the same time. You're looking at the pen, you're looking at the paper, you're organizing your mind. And that slows you down. And when you slow down, literally brain waves expand and you receive a lot of information. So most of the time we are not lost or confused or endeavoring to find a better version of ourselves. I think our version is fine. It's just that the wear and tear of life requires us to modulate all the time, to kind of recalibrate. And one of the best ways to do that is writing or art. Art, even doodling is art for me, because it just lets you go. And then this expands all the stones, the impurities, if you will, all the rubbish falls down. And then you can receive. So intelligence, for me, like AI is not intelligence, it's cleverness. But intelligence is consciousness. And when you slow down, you tap into this huge data, in universal consciousness, for lack of a better word. So back to you. And the reason that I did this today, because apparently today is a great day of alignment. So I thought, okay, so pay attention to feelings. Sally was just asking Sammy, how do we align? How do we find out who we are? And I started by saying, by being honest with yourself, because you can't lie to yourself. You'll know when you lie to yourself. Mm. And the best way to face yourself is through writing. I don't read what I write because I'm not trying to put the blame or saying, "Oh my God, you did that." It's not like that. I'm having an internal conversation. And when you do, and when you're honest, it does bring you into alignment. When you write, for me, you don't know what you're going to say. You don't know how you feel. You don't know what opinions you have about someone or a path in life or whatever it is. But when you write, you're actually listening. And when you're listening, the answers come to you. And by the time you're done, you've got your answer there. Now, the difficult part is listening to that. So what I do next is I break it down. And my friend and mentor used to say, take one word only. So I thought, okay, what words do I want to create in my life? This was during COVID. COVID was great because you really had to tune into yourself,
Yeah, time.
It was literally me time and journaling. And what I wrote is, I want harmony, I want ease, I want whatever. I had 3 words. And then I said, okay, how do I create harmony? Physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. And then I went to the second one, peace. Okay, how do I create that? And I broke it down like that in different dimensions. And every, few days, whenever it was, I would just write what comes through. And I kept doing it for a few weeks. And then when I looked back, it was like, oh my God, I have a plan. And even when people upset you or whatever it is, it's just an indication that you've outgrown that and you need to go to the next level, to evolve, to expand, as you were saying. So how do you know? Awareness, me time, face yourself, accept the truth. You may not know technically how to do something. I'm often like that way. I don't move until something moves me here, but I sit on it. And I found that if you do wait and if you don't put pressure on yourself, the right time always comes. I mean, the universe will choose it for you, literally. People laugh when I talk about the universe, if they're from certain backgrounds, but, call it universal intelligence, because everything is set. And very often people put so much pressure on themselves as if they are the center of their universe, but they forget that we are like bacteria to the universe. We are nothing. So instead of forcing your own will on this vast universe, why don't you get into sync with the universe and let it carry you, like floating on top of water? Then it becomes easier. It takes practice. It's not difficult. You're not building a rocket, but practicing it is difficult because we're not used to it. Because the ego says, okay, achieve, do this. You're so many years old. Why don't you have that? Why don't you have this? My sister-in-law always makes me laugh. She says, what's your plan B? I really never have plan B. And even if I try to, something happens and it throws everything off the table. But instead, I ask myself, okay, where am I going? What is it that means a lot to me to achieve? And then if I follow that, I find all the paths really, really open up. It's just amazing. But we are all called to do that, not just you. We're always evolving. We're always changing. It seems to me like a lot has happened since the beginning of this year. Like it has never happened in any other time. It's just I can't keep up. I can't keep up with developments. I can't keep up with the news. I can't keep up with the work that I have to do. It's like, shoo! So you have to be aligned, because if you keep wobbling from left to right, literally you're going to lose all that energy. But when you start paying attention and you have me time and you journal and you keep asking yourself what matters to me most, you will get there. You become focused as a laser beam, and then you just cut through it. I don't care what people say. You cut through it, whatever it is, whether it's a book you want to publish, a painting exhibition you want to start. The other thing I want to say is creativity is so important. Anything creative, doodling. There's a lot of adult coloring books, or make your own mantra, make photocopies. Just coloring, as you know, color is light is a frequency. There is a lot of information with color. Pay attention to what colors you wear and why. So there's always information. But for me, it's really very easy. It's always been the heart. If my heart doesn't move, I don't do anything. I wait for it. I wait for the last minute. If it doesn't feel right, I don't do it. If it feels great, then I do it. It keeps pulling me like the poetry. I've been on it for 35 years. It's only now that it's beginning to manifest, and my first collection is going to get published. The journey has been that long, but so what? I've enjoyed every single day, really.
Yeah.
Can I just say something that happened?
Please.
Yesterday.
So I can have a sip of my coffee. Yes.
Yeah. I was speaking to somebody yesterday when I was waiting for them to make me a juice at a juice bar. Yeah. And it's really strange. By the end of the conversation, she said to me, I'm so glad we had this conversation because you were I was meant to hear these things today from you. And it was really kind of impressive that she actually verbalized that. But we were talking about, I was talking about my journey as a musician and some of the things that I'd done. And I was just talking about various things, but the main thrust of it really ties in with what you're saying. I connected the fact that imagination and visualization are an extent. Visualization is an extension of your imagination,
Of course.
Because, but so it's important to keep that imagination alive. Exactly what you're saying. You're writing or doodling or whatever, in order that you can project what you want out of life.
Project or perceive it, but because you cannot manifest anything if you can't visualize it.
Right, exactly.
How can you manifest it if you can't perceive a building you're going to build, or a path you're going to take, or a dress you want to buy, or a girl you want to date? I mean, how? The brain doesn't accept that.
Right.
So I don't mean, like my sister always says, I can't visualize. I mean, if you close your eyes and I say, okay, think of a blue candle on a green tablecloth in the countryside of England, the images will come. It doesn't mean you have to literally see it.
Right.
But you have to allow your mind to expand. Music does that, by the way. Certain pieces of music, when I listen to, oh my God, it feels like I'm in love, but I'm not. But that's the feeling that comes from the frequency, or that it's healing. Music really helped me heal after my husband passed away. There was nothing else to do, like I've done everything else, and then suddenly the music comes in, because the ears, the eyes, they go immediately to the center of the brain. Sally can tell us more about that. And I think the switch happens here very quickly. So that's why creativity is important. Doodling, writing, because you're seeing literally what's on your mind. I mean, nothing beats journaling, a little bit, even 5 minutes a day. But these are the tools that we need to do every single day. I mean, I still do. I still write, I still doodle.
And you think that we're in a time where
we have to align. I'm going to use this word a lot today.
We're all being forced to do this.
Yes. It's nothing personal. The whole universe is. Even the stars and the axes of rotation of the Earth, everything is getting aligned. So when you get frustrated, if you think of the cosmos rather than just you, I was saying we are like bacteria to the universe. Then you begin to see where your place is in the universe. So we're like little, cogwheels that keep the big wheels going, or the other way around. And that's why we have to tune in. And that's why people were fascinated with astrology. It's all about, where do I belong? And you belong in a lot of places. There's like meta layers. You belong to your family, you belong to your country, you belong to humanity, you belong to this planet. This planet belongs to the whole solar system. The solar system is part of a galaxy, and people forget that. And I think the more we remember that we are part of a system, also an ecosystem, because people forget about animals, they forget about birds. With all these wars that are going on, I really sit and I worry about the birds and the animals they're killing, and the soil they're ruining, and I can't not think about it, because it is all part of the same weave. And so long as you expand your thinking like that, or your perspective like that, then you'll settle and you'll find your place. And most importantly, you'll find joy. I used to push myself a long time ago. It doesn't work, because wherever you push will fight you back. But for me to find an incentive, something that I enjoy, my heart leaps and I get it done. So the problem is perspective, rather than I have a block, I need a technique to release it. It's not like that. We are really complex beings, and there are meta layers like a matrix, and you have to think horizontally and vertically. So different things do different things. But we need them all. We need the music, we need the coloring, we need the poetry, we need the writing, because it is part of who we are. And if you use these tools on a daily basis, another trick of mine is to zoom in, zoom out. You have to zoom in, take care of your kids, cook your meals, but you have to zoom out, go back to nature and sit quietly. One of my nieces cannot sit quietly. She's learning. But do you guys enjoy your own company? It's very important that you enjoy your own company. I'm my best friend. I'm never bored alone. I'm never bored, because I'm curious. I always think, what's going to come out of me now? Oh, she's frustrated. Okay, what are you frustrated about? Like, I have these internal conversations forever, and they keep me company, and literally stuff does come out, And then the more you know yourself, you will never, ever get lost. Never. Never. When people say I'm confused, they're not really confused, because you know how the brain works. The brain puts a lot of information together. It does something that's called chunking, and it will give you an answer based on what you have. But if you don't have a piece of information, you will get stuck. It's not because you are procrastinating or whatever it is. It's because you didn't expand, you didn't zoom out, you didn't learn something new, you didn't have a new conversation, you didn't try a new workshop, you didn't build a new hobby or start a new hobby. Then how can the brain, we navigate with the brain, but there's a consciousness that overrules it. But you need to also always sharpen your tools. And if you use that pulse of, like when we breathe, expand and then zero in and get it done, and then expand and take a look, step all the way back to see where you're going, you will find your way for sure. You will never get lost, let me say. So you will always be on the path. Sometimes the path meanders, we take the interesting road home, and why not? I used to make a list of things to do today, and like I would never get them done. Suddenly I feel like getting something else done, like this week. But it's amazing. I look back and like I really got it all done, but it didn't need to happen on a Monday. I did the Thursday thing on a Monday and then the Tuesday thing on a Friday. I mean, so what? That's part of how I practice to stay in alignment. Like part of my brain was saying, oh, it's the Eid here, it's the Eid holiday. Go out, go to the beach with the family. And then the other part was saying, no, you promised an AMA, get it done. And then I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit there and get it done because that means a lot to me, to reconnect, to meet with people, to use that alignment today. So I have these conversations, but there is no need to feel confused or lost or blocked. I really want to impress that on you. It's just the wear and tear of life, and you need to learn how to recalibrate, and you need to accept that we are always growing, and you always need to have these conversations with yourself. The doodling, the writing, the music, nature, zooming out, and then, you have tools, and then you can use them at whatever time you want. Does that help, Sally? Did you want to say something?
Well, that helps so much. It's totally in line with, it really helps a lot.
And it's a process. Like when I started the podcast, we started in 2004, 2005, like literally when podcasting started. And Andrew got so excited and he got me a mic, a really expensive mic and a portable recording equipment, which at the time was exactly the equipment that the BBC used. And he stuck the mic in front of me and he said, and I said, what am I going to say? And he goes, tell your clients, how can you cope with fear? And I'm like, what? And that was the first podcast, And I never thought that I would be podcasting 20 years later, that there will be nearly 400,000 downloads to the podcast, people listening from 54 countries. That means a lot. And then as you reflect, you will see your path, It's not like I intended to, but that's what I love. That's what kept me sane also after everyone, passed away. I just didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And a friend said, Sahar, just sit and talk to the mic. And I'm like, okay, no video at the time. And I did exactly that. So it's kind of like writing. And then you see what comes out of you. And I was like, oh, wow. So that process itself is curious. What else is going to come out of me without judging you? I mean, I know the world judges us, like you should have a career, there should be a line. Where are you on your career path? I really don't care. What I care about is when I am on my deathbed, did I have a great life? If my life is a movie, did I have a great movie? And I think it was great. And you guys were part of it. All of you, Sally, Sam from London, Basma, it's just amazing. I mean, isn't life wonderful?
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
It is. Honestly, all the chapters. And that's what I was saying to this girl yesterday. I said, look, if we ended the conversation on me telling, I don't even know why I was having this conversation.
I mean, that is an enlightened barista, I must say.
But I said to her, I said, if you're still, you have the answers, you just have to be still. And that's how I ended it. And she was like, I think she just needed to hear it. And I was
sometimes we need a reminder.
I was the messenger yesterday, but life's like a train too. You get off, you meet people, some of them stick, some of them don't. You can't beat yourself up about that because honestly, also the world we live in, I think is changing very rapidly compared to previous decades. Let's say if you take our parents' generation and whatever and kind of bring it forward, even the 70s and 80s, this is so different. Everybody's doing their own thing, and I don't even think economically, like we keep getting good economic figures and they can't figure it out, I think. And it's because people are doing their own thing, making their own money, and it's not necessarily being counted in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. What do you think, Basma? Oh, Rana, you're there. Hi, Rana. Rana is my oldest friend.
Oh, nice.
I have to mention that every time.
Oldest in time, hopefully not in age.
we know each other since we were 10 years old. I'm so happy to see you. I just looked down, and I saw your name.
And
Excellent.
I've been listening, Sahar, and I absolutely love what I'm hearing, but I'll let Basma
thank
go.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Basma, I want to hear from you. How do you feel? What's on your mind? Does that make sense, what we said so far today?
Yeah, but what I found actually is that I had to go back into myself. I had to go back into stillness, into silence.
Absolutely.
Answers actually were not coming anymore from outside. I looked for the answers inside.
True.
So I spent a lot of time in silence. And that brought such a quality.
Yeah.
You're able to listen to your own voice, you're able to listen to your thoughts, you're able to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Your spirits. And you're able, obviously, to also, because you have your old demons, but you're able to face them at the same time, honestly.
You know, I have a problem with all these new age terms, like a better version of yourself, whatever, demons. If you demonize something, then how can you deal with it? So I'd rather say it's the wear and tear of life. We go through these phases. Life itself is cycles. Life itself is complex, yet sometimes very simple.
It's in a
like where you are now, when you sent me those pictures on the group. Sally, I will invite you. We have a Unbox Collective group that on WhatsApp, because we're all WhatsApp people here.
I would love that. Yeah. I have WhatsApp. I can do it.
Okay, I'll add you. And it's really nice. I invite certain people, but most of you here are old clients and you know me very well. And we support each other. And Basma put a picture of where she is right now. I mean, really, what more in life do you want? Yeah. You know, you wake up to the beach, you sit there, you play your jazz music, you write a poem, you do something. I mean, that is life. Yeah. The rest is strife and what society imposes because of certain economic and political agendas and the rest of it. But sometimes you have to pull yourself out.
Absolutely. And the more you're closer to nature, the more you
it's easier. When I was in England, I have to confess, I was a tree hugger. When I found a really beautiful tree, I would just hug it, you know, and my friend Marcella would look at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, just try it. And it does ground you, because if you think of trees and the way they communicate with each other through the roots, through the leaves, by the way, and science documents this. It's just amazing how the whole universe is conversing with itself. I mean, yesterday I watched this video on quantum, not quite jumping, but how data, you know, like quantum computing and the rest of it, how data suddenly goes from one whatever to another, and what would be the applications of that, and you know, the ramifications of that. And I thought, wow, you know, the universe is already made that way. You know, the universe is already communicating that way. We're only now discovering that we are part of everything else. So yes, I agree with you. The more we are connected to nature, the more we tune in, the more we use. I mean, look at planet Earth. It's not really floating around. It's very much anchored in its orbit. So if we ground downwards, then you come into alignment and that grounds you. There are things that work simply like that if we use them. You don't need to go. Yesterday, one of my nieces was saying, oh, but I need to go to a workshop to learn how to do that. I said, no, you don't. Energy works instantly and truly by intention. I mean, the universe is not going to sit there. It's going to carry on with its own processes. They happen very fast. So the minute you think, I want to ground, even if you close your eyes and you think of a tree or beach or whatever it is, it will have the same effect.
And Sahar, this is what I noticed, is that at the end, I have a lot of answers and I stopped looking outside for answers and instead looked inside, and I found a lot of answers because they're coming natural. Because if you're willing to listen to your body,
that's the internal dialogue we were talking about. Yeah, you're doing it.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's so soothing. It calms your nerves a lot.
Yeah.
It gives you this security and
Yeah.
gratitude, and you become a different person with a different energy, and you handle events differently.
Yeah.
So differently. You don't panic anymore. You don't have this meltdown. You just take things differently.
Exactly. You get into sync, and you, in a way, what you're saying is you accept the process of life. You're having this internal dialogue, and you have all that you need to know within you, which I totally agree, because we are a small part of this big consciousness or intelligence that exists. We just have to tune into it.
It's
I
amazing.
remember
Sorry.
I remember a long time ago, I read this, I think the book, it was like a really bestseller. It was called Conversations with God. Has anyone read it?
Oh, yes. I think you recommended that to
Dan
me.
Walsh or something, yeah. And I remember him saying, supposedly, he channeled Jesus Christ. And he said, Christ was saying, people always pray, 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 but nobody waits to hear the answers. And I thought, oh my God, how true. We panic, we strive, we run. But nobody kind of, as you said, sits still and listens. I mean, there is no silence in the universe. I don't believe there is, but there's always information floating.
What's also wonderful, I don't know if it's at the age we're at, where or whatever, but you can also tweak things when you. I'm just going to give you an example, and I couldn't. I was playing saxophone the other day, and somebody filmed it. I was here with a friend of mine, and she hadn't heard me play, and she said, "Do you mind playing?" And I was like,
"Amazing."
No problem. So I played something, and she filmed it. And I was in the garage playing, because that's where I play. And she came in, and she stood by the doorway, and she filmed it. And there was something in that film. The playing was fine, but there was something in the way my stance, the way I was standing, the way I was. Just my physicality didn't seem correct to me. It didn't seem right. So I thought about it, and I elaborated a little bit in my head. Now I learned music as a voice for myself. That's why I did it, because I was dealing with some issues of trauma a long time ago. And I guess this was my voice. This was something I wanted to keep that was personal to me. I think we've talked about this, me and you. But so that was what took me there. And I thought, but I'm not there anymore. So why? So the next day I decided to stand differently. Approach from a position of not pain, because I thought, well, if that's what took me there, when I'm playing, and a lot of people come up to me and put their hand on their heart when I used to play, and they'd say that was amazing, and I never really understood, like, what is it? What's amazing? I'm just playing, But then when I looked at it, when I saw myself yesterday or the other day, and I thought, you know what? You don't have to stay in that lane. That was what took you there. But why don't you play differently? Why don't you think differently when you go to the instrument? I mean, I wasn't consciously thinking of that, but I noticed it in my physicality, which is what I'm trying to say, like the cellular level versus your brain. We're operating at two different levels.
When we talk about, the 4-dimension of change, the BIMA methodology, the body is where everything stands. So what you're talking about is the container of all the trauma, the information, the memories. Right. So that's absolutely excellent. And my other point to answer Sally is, I lose my train of thoughts. If something you said about standing, that it reminded you of the past. And for me, the changes, the signs that we are changing are very subtle. They're never loud. It's like people I can't stand anymore, or furniture that I can't relate to anymore, or a wardrobe that I can't wear anymore. The colors have changed. It's little things like that. Like, why am I standing that way? Why am I seeing them again? Why am I listening even to that music again? These are the subtleties that our nervous system picks up on, but we don't make the connection, oh, I'm evolving, or I'm changing, or this is a different phase of my life.
Yeah, and when I stood differently, I went and tested it out. The next day I stood differently and consciously thought about what I had thought to myself, and it sounded different.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
After 20 years of playing, or 25 years, that it's really, it's odd too, because I also go to the gym, and for the same reason I like to be in the gym and stuff. And sometimes I'm doing push-ups and I'm straining and this and that. And I started thinking, I'm going to go in and approach it from a position of no pain. I'm just going to say to myself, I'm not going to be in pain when I'm at the gym. And we'll see.
Well,
how
that is my
evolves.
motto, especially after 60. No, really, it's not about the pain. Like, it's really wrong for me when they say no pain, no gain. Absolutely not. And like what you learn from Pilates is you go with the body and the movements register better into the muscles, into your memory. And I'm really enjoying, like slow walking now. I mean, really slow, because you get to think about your posture and how is my spine and, am I doing the right thing and is my hip in or out? And it's a whole different thing. So why I dislike gyms. I don't want to put you off, but
no, but I'm going to, I tore my meniscus 2 years ago.
Yes.
And when I went to therapy, the guy said to me, I went to physical therapy, and the physical therapist said, if you don't have surgery, you're not going to get better. It was my first time in there. And I said, well, why? I said, well, why am I here then? And he said, I suppose you're going to, I said, what about mind over matter? And he said to me, I suppose you're going to tell me you've walked over hot coals. And I looked at him and I said, actually, I have. And he was like, because I've done the Tony Robbins thing.
Yeah, I remember. You were in London then, right?
Yes, I was. I wouldn't have. I'm not very brave. I got invited by someone, without knowing what was ahead. So it wasn't. It was more stupidity than bravery. But nevertheless, So then I've found this gym where they do something called on a power plate. So you stand on a vibrating plate, and the vibrations promote circulation. It promotes well-being. Your blood flow is better through your body, and
it's a holistic movement.
Your workouts are more effective. Yeah. So that's worked for me. It's not really gym. It's
no. I'm not. Nothing personal. I'm just saying that gyms put pressures. They make you think. If I can't do this, if I can't lift that weight, I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It kind of takes the joy out of it, but also the purpose out of it, And it's important to come back to Basma, to turn into yourself, to focus on yourself and what feels right for me, because we are truly unique. As much as we are all part of the same human family, we still have a unique voice, a unique fingerprint, a unique purpose, a unique, whatever you want to call it, task in life. I truly believe that nobody is without a purpose, but it doesn't have to be a grand, big purpose. But the purpose is there and it is needed, and you need to bring out, to unbox all your gifts and abilities, and it doesn't matter at what age. I want to go back to you, Sally. Like, what do you feel like doing? I look at you and I see writing. Are you writing? Unmute.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So my question was going to be, how do you let go? Like there's something that in my whole life that I was doing, and that I felt was part of my purpose. And, but at this age,
and it was, but now you're on a different, like I was telling you, I started by studying civil engineering, and I thought I am a scientific person. I come from a family of doctors, engineers, and architects. And then to think of myself as creative, like, no, Rana was the creative one. And it's just amazing what happens when you allow yourself. It doesn't mean you're off your plan, but that was the plan then. But now it's a new you. It's a new phase. It's a new cycle. And the whole point, I think, is to truly express our potential. It's not about how well you do it, but it's about actually venturing into, okay, I can be this, I can be that. Like now I'm really into writing. It's just really, I'm passionate about it. And it fascinates me that I don't know what I know or how will I respond, or that I even have an opinion like about books or poetry or certain poets or whatever it is, until I write an article, and I got so excited because they're going down well and people are reading them, all over the Middle East and in the States as well, that I got so excited. So I told the editor, I wrote another article, and she said, wait, let's leave this one for a week and then send me the other one. It's like, I can't stop. So maybe I meant to focus on that now at this point in my life. I don't know. But it's not like there's a technique of letting go. The technique is focus on what you enjoy, That's so important because that will keep you going. And that is telling you, I feel like I want, like I was saying earlier, it's subtleties. I can no longer relate to that. I can no longer go back to the rat race. I can no longer. So you're not letting go of your purpose. You are remodulating in order to carry on and be purposeful in a different cycle of your life. So what you're going through is probably grief. I was talking to a friend earlier. It's like death of the old self. It's not depression. It's not confusion. We have to grieve the old us. That's fine. But that is what is happening. And sometimes we have to think about, how do I reinvent myself? Like we change logos, we change, I don't know, colors, we update websites and in a practical way. That is about creating a new image or a new self. I don't mean in any dramatic way, but I'm saying all of that is part of recognizing the past no longer applies. Okay, what do I want to do now? And this is what alignment is about. So when we start, it's kind of like that. And then slowly, we become more focused like a laser beam. And the point, I just wanted to say, Sami, the point of alignment is that you get to where you want to go. So you're not wasting time by saying, oh my God, I was a doctor, what am I doing? Or I was this, why don't I? You don't need that definition. We talk a lot in Unbox about identity and self-leadership, because for me, whether you are a leader at home, in your family, or in the corporate world, it's the same. You're the same person. So whatever baggage you have here, you're going to bring here. Whatever baggage you have here, you're going to bring there. And the whole thing is about self-awareness, self-leadership, because then you know who you are and what you are doing, and you will do it anywhere you are, in whatever context you may be, which is also always changing. You don't get confused. When you are aligned, you know immediately yes or no. Do I like that or no? If you feel stuck, try something. You will immediately know this is for me or this is not for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's like you said. Yeah.
And remember what I said earlier, energy is instant. It's like, really, if you decide, okay, I'm letting go, show me. Suddenly your focus is, what is the next step? Instead of like, oh my God, did I waste my time?
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, that's kind of where I am. I mean, I keep wanting, I keep feeling like it's kind of, I want to write and
right.
And
I mean, I see writing all over you, if I may say.
And sing. I just saw this documentary on Mary Oliver, on her life, and she was just so intentional about that's what she was doing with her life, and it really spoke to me, because I'm always fighting with that. I always feel like that's a side thing, and it's always been part of my life. Like it was part of my life.
When I was young, my parents went to the Far East, and they came back. I was 6 or 7 years old, and they got me this huge box, as a present, and I was so excited, like, oh my God. And we opened it up, and it was a piano. And I had to learn piano, classical piano and Arabic piano. And I was always encouraged to learn it as a thing to fall back on. So I went up to a certain age, and I kind of it was my choice. I let it go, although I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I was good at it. And I had piano teachers tell me, please continue, don't pay us. And I'm like, no, like, because I have a bigger purpose in life. Right. And the other thing is, Rana, do you remember this? When we were at the English school in Kuwait, we had a great art teacher. And I think I always wanted to be an artist or do something artistic. And there were a couple. So his wife was teaching needlework, and he was teaching art. And this was towards the end of high school. And then at the beginning of the class, when we were like about 40, they said, who would like to do art and who would like to do needlework? And he was so charismatic, so good looking that, 39 people went to do art. And I felt sorry for the wife. So I did needlework for 2 years. And there goes my art career. So I don't think you can miss your purpose. It's what you do, no matter what context you are in, that you bring impact, that you impact other people, and you leave, what's the word I'm looking for? You leave an imprint behind, no matter what it is, whether the way you treated your patients, whether it's the words that you're going to leave and do. I think it's
Non, le boss c'est ça.
it's the impact that you leave, no matter what you do, that is important. It's not how you do it, or in what context or in what career. So don't worry about career. It's not, I think that's programming. Like show us your success, or sometimes we avoid bringing out our best because we are stuck in that context of I have a career, I studied this, I should do more of that. No, you should do more of that. Expansion. You asked me, how do we expand? That's how you expand. You embrace what you sense, what you feel. You try it out and it opens doors. And if it is the life path that you should be on, the doors keep opening. Mm-hmm. I told you about my poetry earlier on, if I can mention a personal example. So the English poetry, yes, I got certain degree of success. I was reading poetry. I got English, poems in English published in England. Fine. The Arabic was very difficult because apparently it was too daring. So every month, the editor of the newspaper would call me. I used to write articles also in Arabic. And he would say, Sahar, did you write a new poem? And I would say, yes. Are you going to publish it? And he would say, no, but I love to read them. So it put me off for a while,
Yeah.
And then I was having a conversation with, remember our friend White Bull, Sally?
Yes.
And White Bull's last famous words, I said, but it's so difficult to get published in poetry. And he said, so what? Do it for you. Otherwise, you're going to come back and do it again. So I'm like, so I want to finish everything. I want to unbox everything in this lifetime. And I'm sitting there, and there is a poet that I have been following for 2 years, simply because I like his poetry. I have no idea who he is. I never heard of him before. And then I kept thinking of what, White Bull was saying. And then I looked at my mobile. I was, following him on social media platforms. And I decided to text him, in the evening. I said, hello, Mr. So-and-so. His name is Amr al-Khatib. I said, I've been writing poetry for 30 years. Can you please take a look and just tell me, is it garbage or is it poetry? Should I file it or should I pursue it? And he said, yes. And I didn't realize he's a very well-known writer. He's a very well-known poet, long-standing, published, etc. I mean, how amazing is that? I mean, I could not have engineered that. And now, the door opened and things are happening. And so you never really know, and don't underestimate yourself, but finish whatever you feel you need to do in your heart. And I think next I will paint. I'm dying to paint. I mean, paint what? I don't know, but my hands want to get into it. And I want to do other things in life before we leave this one.
I remember that painting that you had in your apartment in London, the one from your cousin of Palestine.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful painting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Jerusalem in the Rain by Layla Shawarana.
Yeah, beautiful.
It is a beautiful painting, yeah.
The portrait of you, Sahar, is that the one?
No, the Jerusalem, the dome of, the Aqsa beautiful. Mosque, and it's kind of nice, but it's also sad because of the effect of the rain coming down. I took our mutual friend called Natalie took me to an art class after Andrew died. It's like, come with me, let's go to an art class. And I painted, the girl with the earring.
Oh, yeah.
So basically the teacher prepares the canvas and there's an outline in pencil, and then you have the colors, and then you have 3 non-alcoholic drinks or 2 alcoholic drinks, and you paint. And I thought, oh, wow, and I started. And then there were 2 teachers, and they kept passing by, and they say, oh, my God, you have a good technique for fabric, for textile. I'm like, oh, I do? And I love it. And I have the painting hanging here just to remind me, you never know. You may not know everything, but I really enjoyed it.
So this is kind of funny. It's also, there was, when the Intifada first started a long time ago, I painted a portrait of a Palestinian woman with tears coming down in an eye, but it was really in one corner of the painting. And I thought, who's going to know? But it was abstract, right? And I thought, and I've never painted. That was the first thing I ever painted. And I thought, nobody's going to know what that is. And unfortunately, it was perfect the way it was. But I went and tried to to change it and to add things to it, because I thought, well, I'm not a painter, so I need to do more.
Yeah, to perfect it.
A friend of mine who had seen it, and he said, oh, it's a pity you changed that. And I said, well, why? What did you think it was? And he said, it's a woman grieving her child. And I thought, oh my God,
wow.
he understood what I had initially started to paint. So in another vein, when 9/11 happened, I used to work down there as well. And I decided to paint a walk through Central Park or something. But it was again, I can't paint, I can't draw. So it was very abstract. And last week, I have a cousin who moved into my flat in London, and I had a painting downstairs. I said, can you go and put that painting in the flat, please? Because it's sitting in storage. I don't want it to get ruined. And I was talking about an artist that I had a painting of his that was down there, and I didn't bring it with me to the States. And then she sent me a picture, and she said, oh, I found your paintings, and these two go really well together. And they pulled out my painting of Central Park or whatever it was, which was really kind of stick figures. And they said, this is the one we really like. And it was my painting. But what I'm trying to say is
incredible.
You really don't know. You really don't know.
You don't know, because I think with any kind of creative work, and I just saw somebody has their hands up, it's what comes through you rather than what comes out of you. I mean, it's coming through you. So whatever that expression, we were talking about the universal consciousness or higher intelligence or whatever you want to call it, it really comes through you. We are instruments to express that. And that is why sometimes life purpose changes or things we're interested in change. I remember my teacher said once, you could live your whole life and your purpose could be as simple as helping somebody cross the road. And I'm like, what? This was like 30, 40 years ago when I started into self-development. I said, that is my purpose? And she said, yes. And then we were, passing in the underground in London, and there was somebody playing the guitar busking. And she goes, Sahar, did you tip him? I said, no. And she said, who do you know who he is? He could be an angel playing a guitar. I said, okay, fine. And she really made me stretch my perspective and see how things could all be, no matter how small or tiny, part of a bigger picture that we belong in. And
I was leaving your house on Edgware Road one afternoon, the last time I saw you. And I only saw you a few times in London, but I was leaving your house, and I came to the corner of Edgware Road and Sussex Gardens, I think. And there was a guy sitting on the ground, putting together a house of cards that was unbelievable. He'd built this castle, and I mean, you had to be so precise to keep. I mean, one gust of wind, and the whole thing would have come down. And I put my hand in my pocket. I only had 10 pounds, I think. And I thought, man, this is so, I don't care if I'm giving him 10 pounds. This was a while back. So 10 pounds, a little bit more. Yeah. I gave him the 10 quid, and he didn't even see who gave him the money. He just saw the money in front of him, and he started screaming at the top of his lungs, oh my God, oh my God. All I wanted was the recognition.
Oh my God. That really touches me.
I know.
Because that is basically the crux of what we all need.
Sometimes it's just a simple act like that. That happened numerous times. Strange things.
I wanna sorry, Sam. I don't know who NK is, because they've been raising their hand forever. So I suggest NK, if you're still there, unmute and ask, say whatever you want to say. So this is not formal. But I think recognition is very, very important, that we are appreciated and recognized. But I think also you have to acknowledge who you are, and you have to acknowledge that you are capable of doing more. I don't know what it is, and I'm not boasting or anything, but when we were in boarding school, my English teacher used to say every day, she used to tell me that I'm an idiot, I'll never speak English. And it was just like that. And whenever she said that, it's not like I was traumatized. My instinct was, oh, what does she know about? Like, I'm not going to listen to her. And I think I always had this sense of like, no, that's not where I'm going, or that's not what concerns me, or you're not the one who's going to decide that. When I wrote to publish my poetry, I was told, thank you for this energetic writing. And then I sent it to Oxford University Press, and they said, we are sure we're going to regret this, but, we have a full list. So, you never know where it's going, but you have to allow it to come through you. Okay, any questions, anyone? Oh, wow. We have 5 minutes left. I didn't even realize the time was going so fast. Has this been helpful?
Yeah, I want to ask how you choose your subject matter. When you write, you've written a lot of books. So when you sit down and you say, does that change sometimes as well? You think you're going to write something?
Yeah, a lot.
Right. So elaborate.
The first book was the coffee cup book.
Right. I remember
so I had free, it was my subject. And my first thing was, how or what can I bring to the reader that is different than expected? And what really helped is my husband. He was very supportive. He always used to say, don't look at other people's work. Right. Because the way you're taught is look at everyone, check out their publisher, see who their agent is. No, I don't do that. But I try to bring something different, unique, that is connected to me. So in the coffee book, I found, which I didn't know in our culture, that we have a coffee saint. And I found his poem, and I told the publisher, can we have a coffee cup with the poem and the thing, blah, blah, blah. So that worked. With the books, I started by writing a table of contents because I thought that's what you're meant to do. But believe me when I tell you, the book writes itself through you. You cannot push it. You cannot force it, because it just flows. So you're the container. Your job is to sit there, open your mind, tap into, okay, why am I writing this? Who am I writing it for? And how am I making a difference? To me, that's very important. I can't just write anything that doesn't make sense or doesn't land anywhere or doesn't help someone or affect someone or inspire someone. Like movies. If it's a rubbish movie, I walk out. And I've done it so many times since I was young. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of passion. It's like that. And I noticed no matter how hard I would, I used to prepare a table of content, send it to the publisher. They'd give me their feedback. By the second and third book, I really learned you don't write anything. It writes itself through you. So that is why, like you said, the way you were standing for years and then suddenly you had to change it. It really works like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you hold the space and you allow it to come. But obviously there's a technical skill and your commitment, and you do have to sit and write every day, whatever it is, a certain number of words or whatever it is. But it aligns you. Like I didn't know. I know so much, for example, about psychic ability and intuition, or even healing. The healing book was really great because I tried very hard not to write in a new agey way. I remember my late brother, bless his soul, when we used to have conversations and I would talk about energy and energy this and energy that. And, like I discovered, hot water. And he would say, Sahar, you sound like you're on the board of electricity, or something. And he would be cynical, but he taught me how to re-express myself in a way that everyone can understand rather than reject it, from the outset. And I remember I was so fascinated by crystals, and I'm telling him about crystals. And, he went back, obviously, and read on it. And then he called me 3 months later and he said, you know something? I said, what? He said, I read about crystals and you know why they work and they hold memory and energy and all of that. I said, no. And he said, because they act as a capacitor. They take the energy in and then they give it back when and I thought, oh my God. So he kind of helped prune, if you like, my expression to the world. And that's how the writing developed. It's a lot of factors, but think of yourself as the container. And sense here, why am I excited about this book? What is special about it for me? What do I know? What impact do I want to leave? And by now we have a really great relationship with the publisher and the editor, if I may thank them. It's been a really great relationship because they allowed me to be me. and they produced the most amazing book. I mean, from cover to drawings to design to distribution, and that collaborative thing. Now they tell me, I think I've published, I don't know, 10, 12 books with them. And they said, please go to a bigger publisher. And I said, no, but I love you and I really do. And they said, no, they can pay you much more. Go to a bigger publisher. But I like the dynamic that we have. I like that they give me leeway. I like the end result of their books. They're absolutely superb. I was telling you about the healing book. So the healing book, I did not realize what I know about healing until I had to sit down and make sense of it for the reader. Same thing with the coffee book. I was hoping that Emma would join us. Emma Pegler is an old friend again and a client from England, right when I met you, Sam, like from 30 years ago. And she came to the flat when I was on Edgewood Road, and I had all these photographs of the Turkish coffee book on the sofa and everything. And Emma is a very intelligent woman, and she just looked and she said, what are you up to? And I was kind of half embarrassed, like, I'm writing a book about coffee. You know? So I tried to explain to her the tradition, of coffee cup readings. And she looked at me and she said, Sahar, do you know what you're doing? And I said, no. And she said, you are taking something very intangible and you're making it logical and tangible and you're putting it in a process. And I thought, oh my God, thank you. And you, Sam, you did that to me, because when you used to come when I was in Mayfair and I ran into you on the streets in London and I said, hey, Sam, I haven't seen you for a while. And you said, no, I don't want to see you. And I said, why? And you said, because everyone, Sam sent me tons of clients, because you said everyone who came to see me left their job. And I thought, oh my God, like, what do I think of that? Like, is that good? Is that bad? So I took a step back and I thought about this. And then I had a client, and I remember her, Clara from Argentina. And she said, Sahar, you belong to the magician's tribe, whatever. And I'm like, what? And it was Mayan tribe or whatever. So we started talking and she said, your job is to put people on the right path. And I'm like, oh. So, slowly, to answer your question, Sally, your path kind of evolves out of interacting with whatever opportunities that come your way. That's the best way I can describe it. People, like you said, you were the messenger for the barista. It is really like that. A client would come and say this about your story with tipping someone very quickly, very briefly. I know maybe some of us have to go and I have to go. I never knew what to charge when I started, but I would raise my prices if a client asked me 2 or 3 times in a row. So at some point, I remember I was charging £80 an hour, and this client came and she paid me double. And I said, no, I don't have change, here, this is too much. And she said, no, it's not. She said, I have been seeing a psychiatrist for 7 years, and what you did in 2 sessions is better than 7 years. And I thought, oh my God, so what is it that I'm doing? And then my porter, where I was living on Edgewood Road, said, Sahar, can I ask you something? I said, what? She said, what do you do? And I said, I help people see things differently. And she said, because I always see them coming in really like that, and then leaving out feeling happy. So I said, Gloria, what are you unhappy about? And she goes, oh, her husband had left her with her sister. When this is like long ago. It was her birthday then, she was turning 60, and the husband ran off with the sister. And I said, and she's Catholic. And I said, were you happy? She said, oh God, no. I was praying day and night, to come out of this marriage, but she couldn't. And then suddenly her sister came to visit, and then they ran off. And I said, are they married now? She goes, yes. And I said, are they happy? She goes, yes. I said, well, there you are. She says, what do you mean? I said, God sent your sister to take him away because you were unhappy.
And she's been holding on to that all those years?
Absolutely. And she said, you mean I have no reason to be sad? I said, absolutely not. I mean, how else would God work? The universe. And she just loved it. And she smiled and she put on her makeup and she went out on a date. Yeah.
That's an insane story. I can't believe that you had to intervene in that. I mean, and she didn't realize. That's funny.
No, she was just intrigued, because she saw a lot of men and women coming in, going out, and I think they all wondered, what did I do? And she was sweet, and because she was the only female porter, she's like, Sahar, can I ask you, what do you do? But I didn't know that this is what I do. That's my point. Until somebody asks you a question and sticks the mic in front of you, and you might not know what your response is until you put yourself in a certain dynamic or experience or a new experience. You don't know what's going to come out of you. That's why I'm telling you or sharing with you all these things. But the heart is the antenna.
One more question. Do you have time for one more question? So I've just been thinking about what you said about leadership. And because, sometimes I feel like my life is sort of controlling me rather than me controlling the life or whatever. I don't mean to use the word control, but
stop.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends and my old clients know that I do interrupt them.
Yeah.
What did you say? That life is, there's a certain word that hit me the wrong way.
Well, when you said leadership, I thought about a different way of being within my home so that my kids can learn from who I am rather than me being disrupted into their disruption, and I've been trying to kind of recenter myself to kind of be that kind of.
But I think maybe life is guiding you rather than disrupting you. So first start by changing your words, your vocabulary. The universe is not against you. There's nothing personal. And I know that you're curious and intelligent. Look into quantum physics. I understand the world a lot better since I started looking into quantum physics. It's super amazing. You'll understand that everything is perfect as it is. We just have to fit. So whenever something, rubs you the wrong way, it's because you are in the wrong place. So if you're not catching the apple, gravity is working. It is you who's not standing under the apple tree, right? And that's simply alignment. So, but we take it personally, but it isn't personal. It's just telling you that this is not working. A relationship of 7 years is not working, but we don't listen. Do you understand? And the minute, I mean, especially the last 3 years, I have to tell you, but really 7 years since everyone around me died, I could have taken it personally. My brother, my father, my mother, my husband. I'm like, and I thought, okay, what is this showing me? What is this showing me? And I sat in the garden because they all loved garden, my mom and my husband. And half of the tree, there was a hibiscus bush or tree. Literally half of it was flowering and half of it was dead. And I just looked at it and I thought, oh my God, they had to go so that I can unbox. So there are signs, whether metaphoric or whatever, but that's how you collect information. That's meditation. That's what comes through when you sit by yourself and you allow yourself to listen. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The way you explained it sounded like you were judging yourself, like you were reproaching yourself for not getting it right. But it's part of life that you change, that they change, that you need different thing around the home. What really irritated the hell out of me during the COVID years, because we were in lockdown, is I started noticing I don't like those colors anymore. I don't like this table anymore. Like, why am I reacting? But really, everything around me, the container, was telling me I need a different container, because content and container. So sometimes visibly things are different. Sometimes internally we are different. But so long as something is rubbing you the wrong way, it's just telling you something doesn't fit. I mean, how else is the universe going to tell you that? So take it as a sign or a guide that it is aligning me. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's the alignment part that
just change your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Change your vocabulary.
Yeah.
You have to drop your own expectations of yourself. I listen to people and I listen to the words they use, and that kind of strikes music in my head. And this is when I know something is off, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's certain words you used sounded like you are putting yourself under pressure. So it's unnecessary. And letting go, please remember, it's instantaneous. It's like an explosion or H2O or whatever. It happens instantly. Energy exchange is instant. You can instantly, if you wanted to leave your body or come back or float or do whatever it is, it doesn't take years. And that's why I'm against kind of certain processes and certain gurus and whatever, because it teaches you depend on me. There's a process you have to do. No. But awareness is a shortcut because you immediately sense what is bothering me. And with writing, journaling, grounding, whatever, going into nature, having a hobby, which is why creative hobbies are important, you are having a me time on daily basis. So you cannot get lost. And if you listen to your heart and if you know, okay, I can just drop this, like literally, you can literally drop. Last year, we had a great season of podcast because all we talked about is that, the old story. What do you do when the old story finishes? So please listen to it. I'm very proud of those episodes. Yeah. And this year, it's about having the courage to act on whatever you've changed so that you can truly be in alignment, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. My podcasts are short because, life is precious after 60 and I don't want to spend too much talking. So they're really concise, which is, I think, what you are asking me, Sami, how do I know? I tune in. Like today, I didn't plan anything. I tune in, I listen to what I feel here, and the rest happens.
It's very exciting being in this group. I got to say, thank you very much for
thank you. I'm glad we re-met. And Sally texted me, but I will invite you now to the group, to the Unbox group. It's really lovely. Besma's already there. Rana, I am not sure she's interested, but I can invite you, Rana. And I'm dying to know who NK is, and I don't know who NK is. NK, are you still there? Okay, maybe they left us. If there's nothing else, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been really amazing. The next AMA. Hi, Nick. Ahlan.
Sorry, I finally. I'm sorry, I joined about 9:30.
La, it's okay. Absolutely fine.
Listening to you guys. You guys are very inspiring. I'm so grateful.
Wallah, you are inspiring. And the next AMA is towards the end of November or December. But in our Unbox group, whenever you want a session, just let me know, because I really enjoyed this. And we can do that in person. And Besma, Rana, Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sahar.
Thank you, Sahar.
Good to see you, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.